Alright, let's make sure this is on the right stream before anything. Oh, goodness. Please say that, or... Hold on. Just give me a second, y'all. I apologize for being just a bit late. This better be on the right channel, or else I'm actually going to be a bit aggravated, I ain't gonna lie. Why is this not loading? You could have picked any other time to not load. Okay, you know what? I'm just going to see if on my phone. Okay, I am live. I am live. Okay. Hold on, let me turn on my display real quick. Alright, so today we have a severe weather index of 3 out of 5 for the most part, but even parts of the area, like, I mean, it's not even an entire county in the area. It's a very small sliver. That is under a severe weather index of 4 out of 5. And a lot of it is tornado driven. As you can see, we have... Now, these numbers, it doesn't mean a 10% chance of a tornado in anywhere in the area. It's within 25 miles of any given point. So you can pick right here, and 10 is a huge time number. But if you notice these little dotted regions, or these little lines, unfortunately that means, and again, please don't panic when I say this, we're going to go over what you can do here in a little bit, but that means that there could be EF2 plus tornadoes, the stronger, more long track, larger tornadoes. It's not impossible, and here we're about to go over why that is. So first we're going to start with the forecast models. This is what you call the HRRR. Now we're going to look at multiple reflectivity runs. And reflectivity is just kind of the normal radar you see, what the storms look like. And I'll show you what I'm concerned about. It is these type of storms right here. See these isolated storms? Even semi-isolated storms I'm very concerned about. Those are the storms that's going to have a lot of the environment to work with. And because they're by themselves and not competing with other storms as much, these are going to be the ones that could produce the stronger tornadoes. But and we can go through different runs. Let's go to more recent runs. Again, it kind of goes back and forth between showing isolated and non-isolated stuff. But as you can see, even when the line goes through, you see these little hail cores. I think in the line there could be isolated supercells. In a supercell is that kidney bean shaped storm you were seeing earlier. Let's go back to here. These storms. These are what you call supercells. They're these kidney bean shaped storms, and these are the nasty ones, the ones that can produce the worst of the hail and the worst of the tornadoes. Now let's go to our most recent run, and it's a little encouraging. There's not as much of the isolated activity, but there is some of it earlier. Hold on, let me make sure none of y'all... Oh, goodness. Oh, no. Oh, here we go. All my siren enthusiast friends. Nah, they cool. But, there could be even some isolated storms earlier in the afternoon, or late afternoon, but earlier in the day is what I mean. And that could be a concern as well. But even if none of this isolated stuff happens before the main line, in the line there are bits of semi-discrete or semi-isolated supercells that could happen. And this could be anywhere between, and again, with any of the storms, this could be anywhere between My goodness, at first I said from 5 to past midnight, but now I think I'm going to have to go 3 to past midnight. At least 3 for the very far western parts of the area. As you can see, these isolated storms get going. But we can look at some other things here. Now, this section's more for the weather weenies, but stay tuned because I'm going to go over the advice for the average Joe. But this is what you call the supercell composite. As you can see, our numbers go sky high. I mean, it's not good. And the significant tornado parameter, these numbers, they're also not tiny either. And one that I really like to look at is the SRH, the storm relative helicity. And really, the more helicity, the more shear you have in the environment, and the better the vorticity is going up into the atmosphere. And by better, that's not a good situation. But our numbers get high, but again, you also got to match it to win the best 3 CAPE, which CAPE stands for convective available potential energy. But 3 CAPE is that, but at the lowest 3 kilometers of the atmosphere. As you can see, we have that going in, but it's got to meet up to where the best shear is, and then that's where you could have a situation ongoing. But now we're going to go to a different forecast model. This is called the RAP, or the RAP. And so you can see it's the same kind of deal. We get instability. We our shear, which, goodness, it's not good. Let's look for what we're about to look at. See, you could have all these parameters up, but really what you should do when you're looking at a forecast model, and this goes for all my weather weenies out here, really what I need you to do is I need you to check these soundings more than anything. These are really what counts, because you can actually see what the sounding looks like. Now this is a simulated sounding too. Let me just make that clear. This is a simulated sounding. So the real sounding is when a National Weather Service like Wilmington, they release a balloon into the air and it collects data. But this is a simulated version of that. But oh wow. Well, this one's a bit saturated, so we're going to look for another one. We'll just use Supercell Composite to find a good spot for it. Oh, whew. Goodness. Yeah, if we get isolated storms, I'm a bit worried. This is in Montgomery County. For y'all that don't know, maybe if you're in the Columbus area or the Cincy area, that's the county Dayton is in. So this is a simulated kind of look at the environment around there, and this is at around 5 p.m., and it's not good. I'll say that much. We definitely have enough CAPE. Our lowest level instability ain't quite there. Our shear is there for sure. And our lapse rates, they could definitely do better. So there's going to be questions in this. Let's see. See, this is why I like to look at the SRH, because I can actually find the better parameters I'm looking for. This is in Randolph County. Now, I know it's technically National Weather Service Indianapolis, but I do look at that, a few counties in there a lot too, as a lot of the local news stations cover them. Now, this is what I was looking for. So now, as you can see, our lowest level instability is more than enough to support tornadic activity. Still looks a little bit saturated though, which is not good. We have some analogs, which that's a bad sign. But our lapse rates, they could be a little better, but they're not too horrible, to be totally honest. But our SRH, it's good enough. I mean, it's enough to do the trick for sure. And again, for y'all that are confused, hold on. Let me get through this section, and I got you after that. We'll go over what to do, where to go. that type of thing. So please stay tuned. I'm going to check my chat again. Oh my goodness. Genuine question. Could we see an upgrade in the tornado risk if it looks more like these isolated storms take place? I just forget. Never mind. If we see more isolated, like if it looks more likely that we're going to see these isolated storms before the main line, I do think the tornado risk could go up. But really, do not worry about that. It's high enough. You need to know your plan. Again, we're going to get through this weather weenie talking and looking at the environment, and then we're going to go to safety plan. So let's do that quickly. Let's speed run this because... Hold on. I think it's raining. Man! It's a whole downpour. I'm sorry. I just heard that through the window, and I couldn't help it. That's the weather weenie in me. I don't think this mic works. I don't even know why I'm holding it. Well, yeah. All right. Let's look at another sounding. Let's see. Where was that at? Montgomery County. So that's where Dayton's at. Still saturated. I want to find one that ain't saturated. Man, but other than this little small amount of potential saturation, I mean everything's in place. You got your SRH, that's there. You have your 3 CAPE, your lowest level instability, that is so there. Our lapse rates, that's there. So yeah, you got conditions coming together. Let's look a little bit later. This is at about, so the last one was at about like 5 p.m. This is at about 9 p.m. So this is going well more into this event. Now it might be more saturated because that might be around when the line moves through. Again, it's a little confusing on the timing. That's why I'm saying from literally 3 p.m. to past midnight. I know it's a long duration, but you know, it is what it is. Looks like it's less saturated. We have enough shear, definitely enough to support maybe some tornadic activity. But now what I think we need to do is we need to... Oh, wow. Okay, so a whole other sounding just came out. And, well, thanks a lot, Rap, for wasting my time. No, I'm playing. But, oh, okay. So this is in Randolph County. I believe that... Yeah, Randolph County. Again, that's where Winchester is. We can look at this sounding, and I think we're going to get a lot better of an answer to what it's looking like. And let's hope it's not saturated if the sounding wants to load. And it does. And it looks pretty saturated. But you have low-level instability, SRH. I mean, our surface-based CAPE isn't all there. But the thing is, when you have the 3 CAPE that is, it can a lot of times make up for it. This is in Union County, so that's where Liberty is. Liberty, Indiana. Union County, Indiana. Because I know there's a Union County, Ohio. That's where Marysville is. But this is Union County, Indiana. That's where Liberty is. This is a sounding from there. Again, our lapse rates could do better. I ain't gonna lie. But other than that, things are definitely in place. Alright, we're going to move on to the NAM or NAM, the North American model. And then we got, yeah, and we're going to speed run through it because I feel like it would do me and y'all a lot better. Of course, that one's not loaded. So we're going to go to the last one. That can't be good. That can't be good at all. That is very sheared environment. I'm a little bit nervous to look at this. Okay, our 3 cape and our lapse rates could be higher, so that's better. If we can look at... I don't even think we have our 3 cape. Thanks a lot. Oh, it's capped. Okay. Man, this is a disaster. I'm sorry for this disaster of a stream. This is my first time doing it a live forecast. Usually I pre-record this, but okay, we're just gonna wing it and do one more sounding, and then we'll move on to the observed conditions, and then we'll move on to what to do. I apologize if this is getting real boring. Alright. We're going to go down to Butler County. That's where the city of Hamilton is. Hamilton County is where Cincinnati is. I know it gets confusing, but Butler County is where Hamilton and Middletown is. It's also where Westchester Township is. That's a fun place to go to. So if you're new to this local area, there's things to do around there. I would go there. Our lowest level instability ain't there. Okay, so I'm confused. We're gonna do this. We're gonna pull up the hodograph map, and then we can look at the instability. Yeah, let's go here. Need to stop looking at the reflectivity so much, especially on not good reflectivity. I can't speak. Reflectivity allowing models. Now this is a concerning look. As you can see, that is a really curved hodograph. You got, I mean, that's not the highest level of low level shear I've seen, but my goodness, it's enough. Our lapse rates are, whew. And our low level instability and our surface base cape. The NAM might actually be it's usually the most conservative, meaning it doesn't show as bad of a... Let's go around here. And that's around Randolph County. Again, that's where Winchester is. Oh, goodness. I don't like how it's looking. And just about everything is in place. So yeah, now we're going to move on to our observed conditions. Now first we can start off with our observed... Okay, that's the outlook. My bad, y'all. There we go. This is the Wilmington observed sounding, and my goodness, the shear is already just about as bad as it could possibly get. Again, I'm not trying to scare y'all with this. And again, the shear could go lower as the day goes on, and it probably will. But it is definitely really high right now. I mean, our SRH is at 631 and 691 at the 3 kilometer. So that's pretty bad. Now on to... Okay. Now, there we go. Okay, so our surface observations... We have our dew points at 32 over 45. The spread is not that bad. I know it doesn't feel like a severe weather day. It is frigid out there, but it's going to warm up today. And it's going to warm up more than enough to bring severe weather. So that's what it's looking like. And our dew points are expected to, I think they're expected to get in the 60s today, which that's pretty much telltale sign of severe weather. I mean, in the summer, not as much because you get, I mean, it's hot and muggy every day. But yeah, our satellite map now, again, we have cloud cover, but that's expected to clear later today. And if you see sunshine out, that's not good news. That's bad news because that's going to cause the environment to destabilize. That sun's going to beat down on the ground, and it's going to be surface instability. I mean, so the more clouds, the better the outcome could be. And now we're going to look at the jet stream. As you can see, we have some diffluence right around where Illinois, Indiana, right around here. If you could see my cursor circling, that's diffluence. And that's going to allow updrafts to get going. And this is kind of a simulation of what it could look like later today. This is about 6 hours away. And the diffluence ends up getting to us. Now we're going to go to the 700 millibar, and this is closer to the ground level. And really what you want to look for is you want to look for dips or short waves. Now, in a situation like this, it's not necessarily needed because you have just a huge trough already ongoing. But if we see one, that's really what's going to allow any isolated stuff to really get going. So, and that's all of our observed stuff. So let's go over safety tips, the part that y'all have been waiting for. So we're going to go to the best way of warning. This is a NOAA weather radio. So this is a really good model is the WR120. You can buy it at Walmart. I'd recommend you go to Walmart today. Do it today. Hold on. Yeah. Do it today. All you got to do, you go to this menu here, and then you go through these arrows, and you select the state, then the county you're in, and then select, and you're good. All good. And that thing's going to be loud, so you could be asleep, you have it at your bedside, and you'll be woken up. The only downside is, you know, tornado warnings, severe thunderstorm warnings, they're polygon based. They are in polygons, so it's not going to take up a whole county. But the way weather radios work, they go off no matter what part of the county the warning's in, even if you're not necessarily in the warning. But my bad, y'all. What was I saying? Oh, yeah, okay. It has the message, you know. It's the same thing as on the TV, but it'll tell you all the cities impacted and what to do. Another way that you can get warning, but it don't always work, is wireless emergency alerts, or WIA. Actually, for an Amber Alert, just last night it went off, and it was loud, and it scared me, and I don't like it. But that's the point. It's supposed to get your attention. It does not sound like a text message. It sounds like that sound you'll hear on the TV when there's an emergency alert. Or if you got the Amber Alert the other day, it's that same, or yesterday, it's that same exact sound. Now again, sometimes cell towers can have issues, so you may also want to get a weather app on there, maybe multiple, just to make sure you get that warning. But that will have you set on that. But again, either ways, I want you to get that weather radio. Again, hopefully it should be around that price, $39.99, hopefully less, but go to Walmart and get one. Here's something, and I know my siren enthusiast buddies ain't going to like me for this, but something needs to change about the outdoor warning sirens. So, too many people think that it's going to wake them up, and people that say they didn't get the warning, a lot of times they say, I didn't hear a siren. Well, here's the thing. Sirens were never meant for you to hear them inside. And homes are built to soundproof anything outside. So it's meant to muffle out that sound. That is for these outdoor warning sirens. They're made for if you're at the park, if you're walking the dog, if you're at the football game. That's what those are for. And even then, I would recommend having more than one way to alert you. But if you are inside, and a lot of this is going to be at night, so a lot of this you really don't need to rely on this. In this situation, you need to have the weather radio and the wireless emergency alerts. Again, I'm not bashing siren companies or anything like that. I'm just saying, if you're not outside, you cannot rely on them. Too many people rely on that, and then they get hit and they think they didn't get a warning. And oh, another point, is there's many cities out here that either their sirens don't work or they don't exist. Champaign County as a whole, they don't have outdoor warning sirens. The city of Beaver Creek, that's in Greene County, no sirens. Springfield, that's in Clark County, not an outdoor warning siren in sight. And Dayton, other than the University of Dayton, they don't have a system of outdoor warning sirens. So that's the situation. There are communities out there that don't have them. So really have more than one way to alert you. Now, I always say, know your safe place. Where is that safe place? Well, if you are in a site-built home, if you have a basement, you go there. Basement's always best. If you don't, now on a day like today to where we might have EF2 plus tornadoes, if you have a neighbor with a basement, maybe go hang out with them for the day, at least consider it. But if you can't get anywhere with a basement, don't panic. Interior hallway, closet, that's fine. In this situation, as you can see, the bathroom is not a safe place because it's got that exterior wall. Think of it as how you dress up in the wintertime. You wear layers. You have multiple layers between you and that cold air. Well, you could use that same concept with where to go in your house when a tornado or a really bad, severe thunderstorm's happening. Oh, I'm talking a bit too much. You put as many layers between you and the tornadic winds and the tornadic debris as possible. So that's a good way you can think about that. But in this house, if the basement ain't there, it's that hallway, it's that closet. It's not always going to be a hallway or a closet or a bathroom. Maybe it's an interior bedroom. Who knows? But you go to the lowest level and then the center. That's how you do it. Don't worry about a northwest, southeast, east-west, this, that, the third, and 20 other corners of the house. Don't worry about that. You go to the center on the lowest floor. Now, again, back to safe places. Evacuate mobile homes. Mobile homes are not safe. You need to leave them. Bottom line, more than anything, you have to get out of mobile homes. Reason is because they're not site built. They don't have a foundation. And then there's this air between the floor of the mobile home and the actual ground. And tornadic winds, they move up and they rotate. So it's going to get underneath that mobile home and lift it up. You cannot be in a mobile home. And I don't recommend I recommend you leave before a tornado warning is issued, because we really don't want you to be in a car either if you're in a tornado warning, unless if it is last resort to get from point A to point B. But if you're in a mobile home, we want you to leave when the watch is issued. I know that's a lot of time being out, but it is what it is. Whenever the Weather Enterprise can come up with something between a watch and a warning, we'll be happy to say that that's when you go. But I don't want y'all driving out in severe winds, hail, and maybe a tornado. I want you to be out of there into a safer place before that happens. And that could be a gas station, like a decent-sized gas station. Not a little gas station, but a decent size. A restaurant, a relative or friend's house, a hotel or motel. In my opinion, those could be the best because you got those interior hallways. Or a rest stop. I mean, maybe even a fire department. They'll let you in for sure. And something I need y'all, if you know somebody in a mobile home, I need you to call them as soon as possible and tell them, you're invited at my place. You may have to cook something, you may have to do something to set it up, but I need everybody out of a mobile home one way or another when the tornado watch is issued and no later. Okay? Again, they're not safe. Vehicles, they're not safe either. So if you're driving and there's a tornado warning, you need to pull over the nearest exit and get to, as I said, a store, a gas station, a decent-sized gas station, a restaurant, a rest stop, a fire department, police department, maybe a hospital or a hotel, motel. You get the point. Never, ever, ever go under an overpass. That's a horrible idea. If you've ever driven next to a semi, you know, it pulls you in. That's called the wind tunnel effect. Imagine that times 1,000. That's the issue with that. You're going to be pulled right out of there. Never go under a bridge or an overpass. If the tornado's right there and you don't have time to get off the exit, you pull your car over, you get out, you go in a ditch, you put one hand over your head, other hand over your neck. That's how you do that, and that's a last resort. Other bad options, which I don't know why they have manufactured housing here and mobile homes here. It's the same thing. But large open rooms like gymnasiums. Now I know there's some schools around here, that newly built schools, that specifically design their gymnasium to withstand 200 plus mile per hour winds. That's different. But generally, gymnasiums are some of the worst places to be. But it's not about the type of room. It's about it being a large open space and being having exterior walls. Can't be in it. Good options. Basement's best if you can get there. If not, interior room, as I said, many walls between you and the tornadic debris as possible. Lowest floor and to the center. Best option. Now, there's not many of these out here, which that needs to change as soon as possible. Above or below ground, it don't matter. It's the way it's designed. They're designed by engineers to withstand 200 plus mile per hour winds. FEMA rated storm shelter or safe room. If you can access that, that is the absolute place you need to go. Now, back to the mobile home discussion, and this is why mobile homes are not safe to go to and why I need everybody out. We can't repeat what we did last year on March 14th. A large, extremely dangerous EF3 tornado, 150 miles per hour, went through Indian Lake. That's places like Lakeview and Orchard Island. That is, and also Freiburg before it went that way, which is just to the south of Wapakoneta. But it went through Auglaize and Logan County, and this was an EF3. There was also an EF3 in Winchester. I mentioned that place earlier. 160 mile per hour. That was borderlining EF4. It just about swept the whole Taco Bell off the foundation. Some of the most wild damage I've ever seen around here. But there are 4 fatalities from that outbreak. One was an injury from the Winchester, and months later, unfortunately, that person didn't make it. Again, condolences to people affected. But another thing, if you are, or what was I saying? Sorry, I just got a notification. But basically, all the other 3 deaths were in the Indian Lake EF3, and it was all elderly folks in a mobile home. And I don't think it was that they refused to leave. I think either they didn't know what was happening, or they knew what was happening and didn't know where to go. Or 3, they thought the mobile home was safe. So we need to solve those problems. And I guarantee you, if they were in a different type of structure, those 3 people would be here today. And that's why I need people to be out of the mobile homes. We lost 3 people that we shouldn't have lost. Unacceptable. I'm not just going to say it was their time and say that every single time and then just watch fatalities continue to happen. Not on my watch. So I need you to make sure your friends and family in mobile homes are out before these storms get here. Another thing, when you're in your shelter, I forgot to make a slide about this. I showed some of these, or all these slides yesterday, but I showed some of them today because they're going to be good every time we have a severe weather event. But I need you to have a helmet. This could be a bicycle helmet, a motorcycle helmet, a sports helmet, or even a hard hat. If, you could get it at, again, a Walmart, a Dollar General, a Family Dollar, Dollar Tree, whatever you could think of, a Target. You could get it there. I need you to get that. And not just for the kids. You hear on the news all the time they say, get the bicycle helmets for the kids. No, get the bicycle helmets for the kids, the adults, the elderly. I don't care how old you are. And if you have an infant, get the car chair out of the car and put them in there when you go to your safe place. Another thing I need you to have, these. Hold on. Hard sole tennis shoes. Tennis shoes, gym shoes, sneakers, whatever you want to call them. Again, these are going to be your J's. These are going to be your Adidas. These are going to be your Vans. If you live in the country, your cowboy boots. These ain't going to be your sandals or your flip-flops. Okay? So you get those hard sole shoes. And this is for after the tornado. Because walking in socks or barefoot, things can poke you like nails, glass, wood. And that's in a worst case scenario if a tornado is to hit you. Which is extremely rare, but you know, it's always best to be on the safe side. But it's always good to have those hard sole shoes. Another thing is an air horn or a whistle, but an air horn is better. And then so if you're ever trapped, like let's say maybe debris blocking the door of your safe place, you could blast that air horn. First responders or anybody out there to help will hear that and they'll help you out. Last but not least, some people don't know the difference between a tornado watch and a tornado warning. That's okay. That's on us. We got to communicate it better. A tornado watch is when conditions are there for a tornado to happen. We're going to have a tornado watch today. I can basically guarantee it. You're going to be under a tornado watch at some point today. So that means you know your safe place and you have your stuff together. You get that helmet, you get those hard sole shoes, you get the air horn, you may want to get a blanket, maybe a deck of cards to keep yourself entertained. If you have kids and they get scared, have something to distract them, that type of thing. And if you're in a mobile home, you make sure you're out of that mobile home and you're at the building that you can take cover in. A tornado warning means it's game time. It's time to go. That means it means either a tornado is down or it's about to be down. So that's when you take action. You go to that safe place, you get the helmet on, and you get those shoes on, and you wait it out until it's over. But in this situation, we have the isolated storm. There could be multiple rounds of this. So I really don't want people out of the mobile homes until the last line is, or I don't want people back in the mobile homes until the last line is gone and we're done with the situation as a whole. I apologize in advance. I know it's not convenient and it sucks, and the Weather Enterprise is trying to find a better way. In my opinion, we need those FEMA shelters, these community shelters. I don't know why we don't have them. We had more than enough outbreaks, but again, that's a rant for a different time. But listen, I know a lot of y'all are probably freaking out. You know, we have a severe weather index of 3 to 4 out of 5. Mainly, almost entirely 3s. It's not even a whole county in our area that has the 4. But I get it. When you have a risk for EF2 plus tornadoes, you get worried. I understand. And I know people that have been hit by EF2 plus tornadoes. Multiple people. So I get it. But the actual chance of you getting hit is very slim. Again, that doesn't mean you don't take action. You take action if a warning's issued. Sorry, I spoke a bit too much. But something beyond anything, something I need you to understand, is this ain't anything we ain't been through before. We've been through this many times before. We're a very, very tornado-prone area. I get it. The news and the media don't talk about us enough. We don't get the sexy tornadoes, the colossal images tornadoes, something like Picasso would paint. But yeah, we get these rain-wrapped, messy, blob-looking tornadoes. That's why we don't get the recognition. But they're still just as strong as the planes and just about as frequent too. But part of living in a tornado-prone area is you're going to have, from time to time, these days to where you could get some stronger tornadoes. That's just part of living here. But again, as I just said, if you go to that safe place, you're going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. It's going to be a long night, okay? strap in, get ready. It's going to be a long evening and a long night ahead. There may be some emotional moments, but we're going to get through this. Everybody, we're going to be okay. We're going to get through this together. Again, I'm here too. I have the same human emotions you do. So remember, you're not alone, but we're going to be all right, okay? That's all I have for y'all. I hope it didn't take too long. Probably did. So I apologize, but just stay safe. Know your safe place. And we're going to get through this. Alright? Now I need to find out, see how the heck I'm going to chase this event. Alright. See y'all later.